There were just a lot of things in my life I needed to find out what my purpose was. It's great at growing wealth for people. We have a successful business.
Sure.
What do I need to do for our community? I know what my passions are, but just working through that, still working through that. I mean, it's a large investment.
Yes.
But if you don't invest in yourself and you stop growing, your business is not going to grow. Personally, you're not going to be fulfilled. And so I try to grow every day, and I always try to get better at communication.
Welcome back to Connections. I'm Glen Gould, and I have with me today Mary Catherine Bloodworth. Mary Catherine, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks.
If you would, tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and just kind of start out like that.
Yeah, so I recently moved down to Serenbe is how we got connected to Dry Cleaning
Right.
Connection. And I have had a financial planning business for 11 years.
Okay, and so how did you end up in the financial planning world?
It's a crazy story. So I was selling real estate. I had gotten out of grad school, and a friend called. And, God led me to that, and I've been in the business 11 years.
And so you do that, and you said you live in Serenbe.
I do.
How'd you end up in Serenbe?
That's probably one of the coolest stories of, I say, my life. I have some coaches and mentors, and so we went down there for a business retreat.
Okay.
And my husband and I had been looking. We lived in Johns Creek, just really looking where do we want to go from here? What do we want our purpose to be from here? And we were really just tired of the rat race.
Yeah.
And so came down there in October for a business retreat. We left on Sunday, and we're like, this is where we're moving to.
Oh,
This
okay,
is
so
what
it's
we've been looking
kind of
for.
one of those you fell in love with at the moment you saw it.
Yes, it was everything we needed.
That's a lot like what happened with us when we moved down to Punta Gorda, Florida a number of years back, and we moved there sight unseen. We had heard it was the second best place to live in America. We drove down, and we left everybody and drove back and loaded the trucks and came back down. So you mentioned something that I kind of want to touch on a little bit for folks who are in business watching us. You mentioned that you have some coaches and mentors. Tell me a little bit about how that has impacted you and the importance of it.
That's been huge. Edward Bailey he just moved to the board of directors, but was the executive of No Longer Bound.
Okay.
Which is a really big rehabilitation facility in Cumming, Georgia. And the people that mentor him, Edward, is just a dynamic person and has the same values and is really a servant leader. And that's who I wanted as a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel there were just a lot of things in my life I needed to find out what my purpose was. It's great at growing wealth for people. We have a successful business, but what do I need to do?
Sure.
What do I need to do for our community? And I know what my passions are, but just working through that, still working through that. I mean, it's a large investment when you hire a good business coach.
Yes.
But if you don't invest in yourself and you stop growing, your business is not going to grow. Personally, you're not going to be fulfilled. And so I try to grow every day, and I always try to get better at communication. And that's where he's been able to help me.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a coach too, and work with a CEO mastermind group that I'm kind of a part of, and I know the value, but a lot of times you don't really realize the amount of investment you make, not financially, but the time and effort you have to make with it too. And so to take time out, and you brought your husband down. Was he also coached by the same folks? So
he ended up, yes, later on, but not for this. Edward just wanted to get me out. It's cool. He had nothing to do with goals, had nothing to do with money. And he was like, I've got to get you out in the woods. I need you to go sit there for 2 hours, and I just need you to jot down. And that experience changed kind of the whole direction on what I'm doing.
Well, that's great. I mean, that is a powerful themselves way. But I never thought you didn't mention earlier when we were chatting about it, because we didn't get in too much depth, but the idea of going and just out into the woods for 2 hours and just jot down what you're feeling, what you're thinking. I might have tried that myself.
I'm always moving, and I'm in a world that moves really fast, and it's very driven by stuff, and money. And so, there were it was important. And it was important for me to I think that we live in a world where we stay busy on purpose. And that's what Serenbe has done a lot for me.
Well, now that's interesting you say that, because I know you're a person of faith, and I'm too. And one of the core messages is be still, and yet we don't do that. So that's powerful. You mentioned you grew up in
Leesburg.
Leesburg. Okay, and that's South Georgia. For people who don't know, what part of South? I mean, where about? What's near it?
It's near Albany.
Okay.
And that was appealing to us, is to get.
Now, is it Albany or Albany?
Albany.
Okay, Albany. Okay.
Albany.
I've always gotten it wrong. I know it's
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, I had a really great upbringing. I mean, I would not trade it for the world. We had one stoplight in our town, and everybody knew each other. It's kind of like moving, what I say, back to the country. It's priceless. Like, relationships are priceless. And I feel like our world has gotten away from that.
Yeah.
We're stuck on our phones. We don't talk to our neighbors. We don't engage with people, at least where the world I'm coming from in my adult life. And I think it's been a disservice to everybody.
This past year has really kind of given us that pause to go, all right, I don't know if you've heard the term, but I was reading an article the other day, the great resignation is coming. People are going to quit their jobs. When they're told they got to go back, they're going to quit their jobs because they don't do what they like doing. Well, you're one of those fortunate few that does seem to like what they're doing.
I love what I do. We're here to serve people. That's what I know I'm called to do. And I have a job where I can serve people and really help them with things that a lot of times they don't even want to think about.
Yeah. So speaking of serving, and I don't want to forget, so if I do forget, well, I want to come back to your early career in the dry cleaning business. But I want to mention the serving thing. You are involved in some things you have a passionate about. Tell us a little bit about those things.
So Solomon's Temple is a homeless shelter. We're one of the very few in Atlantis and East Point where our women and children can stay up to a year, and the children, boys and girls, can stay together. Most shelters will separate the boys over a certain age. And so, I have a real passion for that, because there's so many people in our society that get overlooked. We get in our bubbles, and we think this person is homeless because they're on drugs, and there's a lot of judgment around it. And so, and this is one thing that I try hard every day to say, is people are not homeless, they're experiencing homelessness. It's changing the words and the way that we look at people experiencing homelessness, because you can live in your bubble and you can be making $500,000 a year, but it can be taken away from you tomorrow and you can be that person.
We have lived that, so I know, exactly.
So we have to start taking care of our society and not staying in our bubbles.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's good. Now, I want to go back to because you have a history of working in the dry cleaning business.
It's where I learned so much.
Yeah, so I want to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's our family friend. They owned a few dry cleaners where I grew up, and I started my dry cleaning career in high school. And it just taught me how to deal with people. I saw all walks of life coming through there. I learned to work in the dead of summer in 100-degree weather. All of that, just the grit to get it. Sounds simple and it sounds like not a glamorous job, but I still look back to that and loved that job.
Sure. So that kind of gives us a whole perspective of things. I want to come to kind of tie things together back to Serenbe. And I want to ask you for what it's like to live in Serenbe. And I know that a lot of people that we serve go to Serenbe sometimes for meals or stuff like that, or to go to, they used to go to Serenbe Playhouse when that was active. What's it like to live up there, and maybe what's your favorite spot there?
I have never been in a place since where I grew up where I've been more connected to people and where people really care. I didn't grow up in the 60s or 70s, but if you did, or I grew up in the 80s where everybody talked, you went into their house, we have porches, there's a community.
Yeah.
You don't walk by somebody and don't wave and say, hey.
Right.
Where the world I come from, that's what it is.
Sure.
And so there's a sense of community. When the first day I was there, and I'll never forget this, I tell this story. We were walking down the street, a resident that lives there. Within an hour, we were in their house. They were taking us on a tour. We went to dinner with them that night, and now we're friends.
That doesn't happen pretty much anywhere else anymore.
No,
yeah.
No. And they didn't know us.
You're right.
And we ended up having people that we knew, but they didn't know any of that when they met us. So,
right.
You can't put a price on, like, relationships are very important to me. You can't put a price on that.
No,
So
awesome.
Our favorite place, my husband plays Chicago softball there, which...
What is Chicago softball? I'm unfamiliar with this.
So all the residents get together on Thursday nights. I don't play, and the women and men play, and they play. So there's hamlets in Serenbe,
Right.
And so each hamlet has their own team.
Okay.
And so they just get out. It's not traditional softball, but they have a different softball that they use, and it's just fun. Like, and I mean, he didn't get home till like 9:30 last night. We meet people all the time. I mean, what other neighborhood do you have?
Right.
Where and the welcoming, I will never forget this. He joined the softball team because we're very outgoing people and we wanted to meet people. And
Sure.
so he joined. We went up there the first time. Most of the time you go to a place, and it's, in my experience in life, there's very few people that are going to come up to the new person. I always try to be that person. We walked up there. Everybody was there, walked up and said hello.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I think people's guards are down. I think they're more relaxed. When you're in nature, you're still, you're not in the rat race. You can actually be more open with people.
Right. And so do you end up dining up a lot there too? I mean, obviously everyone eats at home more these days, but what's a great dining spot in Serenbe?
So we love the Blue-Eyed Daisy,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt, we've met Matt who owns the Blue-Eyed Daisy, and we love the farmhouse. I have a small group of women that we eat there once a week. Our church meets there. And then that's the cool thing too, is you've got a mix of people in Serenbe that are different faiths, different backgrounds, but everybody comes together. It's cool.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us and getting to know you a little bit. But I'm so glad you came down today to see us, and certainly thank you for being a client. But we didn't touch a whole lot on your business, but just real quickly share a little bit about what that is, and if somebody was moved by, I know that I do business with people I know, like, and trust. And so if there was something that Mary Catherine said that kind of said, you know what, I feel like I'm a lot like this person, I'd like to get to know them, how would they get to know you?
Yeah, so I have a financial planning business, and our goal with our business is to really, there's fears around money, whether that be making too much, not having enough, paying for kids' college, having a business. And so where we're different is our goal is to come in, serve you, help alleviate those fears, and build out a team for you so you can go live life and enjoy whatever you want to do.
Sounds like fun. And how would somebody get in contact with you?
So best way to reach me is on my cell phone, 770-655-8107.
Okay.
And then, to get to your business, Glenn, like, we've always had a dry cleaners, and I do business with a lot of people, and when I started working with Glenn, the first time I told my husband, I was like, there's something different about this place. There is something different. And I even save the emails that I get from Glenn, and if in his signature line, you don't see that a lot. He is a servant leader, and you don't see that a lot. I don't see it a lot. And so to be able to do business with somebody, and somebody that's truly serving, it's hard to find that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you mentioning that to us. So, well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing with us today. Really do appreciate it. And thank you for watching. We'll look for you again on Connections.
Yeah.
Bye now.